Winter is losing its stranglehold again on the Chicago area. The Angels and Sox in game number 3 of a 4-game set after splitting the first 2 from here at U.S. Cellular Field. And we welcome you this afternoon, Jason Benetti, Steve Stone. The offense yesterday finally came out of those doldrums for a couple of days. It was a 3-game losing streak. Offense last night, 5 runs scored, a couple of homers.
It was certainly nice to see the long ball back in attendance here at U.S. Cellular Field, and it came early off the bat of Todd Frazier. He was looking for something dramatic, and he certainly got it against Matt Shoemaker. Then leading off the 4th inning, Jose Abreu comes up. He had relinquished the team lead in home runs for 2 innings. Got it back, and they're both tied with 3. So as you can see, over the last couple of years, the home runs very similar, even though they did them with different people. Cincinnati for Frazier, obviously our Sox for Abreu. There's only 2 home runs difference. This year tied at 3, as we mentioned. Last year, Frazier had the lead. So hopefully these guys go into a race. If they do, that friendly competition is going to mean runs for our Sox.
There's a friendly competition on the pitching mound as well. Chris Sale, always a holiday when he pitches, but Matt Latos, number 4 in the rotation, is number 1 in everybody's hearts right now.
Who would have thought that at this point of the year, both of these guys would be 3-0? And when you look at the numbers, you realize, although Chris Sale is striking out a lot more people, look at the ERAs. .49. Matt Latos has given up 1 run in his 3 starts and 18 in the 3rd. Chris Sale has thrown 23 innings, 23 strikeouts. He's been brilliant. Last time out, Chris Sale was absolutely unhittable in Tampa. Through a 2-hit shutout. His slider was magnificent. His fastball was well spotted. His changeup was as good as it could possibly be, and he completely handcuffed the Rays. And it's a good thing because only 1 run scored that in the 9th inning. There's the matchup. Garrett Richards, undefeated against our Sox with a high ERA of .429. Chris Sale, undefeated against their Angels, his ERA 1.64. Both of these guys thrown it real well, although Chris Sale is throwing it better. And with Sale and Latos, 6 of the victories for the Sox this year.
Tremendous pitching matchup today at U.S. Cellular Field. Sox and Angels, game 3. We've had our private investigators working all night. News on Bubblegate during the game as well. Chicago White Sox baseball is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. Honda, start something special with a great deal on a Honda, now at your Honda dealer. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Ford, America's best-selling brand 6 years running, inviting you to check out our fuel-efficient lineup at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com. And by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers. Test drive their all-star lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com. U.S. Cellular Field. Sox and Angels in Game 3 of a 7-game homestand for the Sox. And it's a usual lineup for the Sox in a couple of ways. One of those being Jose Abreu is in the 3 position. However, he's not at first base this afternoon. He is DHing. And doing that for Robin Ventura requires a fairly lengthy discussion.
It wasn't a fist fight, but it was a longer conversation. He just doesn't like to do it, but I think he understands it, and he's going to do it today. So there's a bit of a reluctance on his part to do it, but I think to get Jerry in there, get Jose off his feet for one of these day games is important. It's important for him, and he's pretty good at it. He doesn't have bad numbers when he does it.
So the question is, Bobby Darin, why does Abreu not like DHing?
There's a couple of different reasons why he doesn't like the DH. One is he says if you're a designated hitter, you can't help the ball club if you don't get any hits. He likes the fact that he can play pretty good defense and help the ball club win. And 2, probably doesn't stay as loose. Also, he's been a lifetime player, so he appreciates that. And today he's in the lineup. And by the way, May 6th, you can get one of these. Back to you, Dino.
Thanks. We'll be crooning all game long. Sox and Angels coming up. First pitch from Chris Sale on the way. By Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Starting lineup for the Angels, which was held down to 3 hits yesterday. Starts with Yunel Escobar, Andrelton Simmons up from 6 to 2. Trout, Pujols, Calhoun. Giovanni Soto back on the card today. Then C.J. Cron, Johnny Giavotella, and Craig Gentry, the final 2 of which who also got yesterday's Game 2 off, Steve.
And there is the defense. Now Robin's going to line them up behind Chris Sale, Cabrera, Jackson, and Eaton in the outfield with Frazier, Saladino, Laurie, and Sands in the infield. Alex Davila gets a nod behind the plate. Chris Sale on the hill, looking for win number 4. His ERA 2.35, 23 strikeouts in 23 innings, and he's been terrific. The umpires: Gabe Morales behind the plate, Paul Nauert, Jerry Meals, and Chris Conroy at third base. And we're ready to play baseball.
Yeah, Chris Sale, part of the reason the Sox have had 3 shutouts in the first 14 games for the first time since 1972. And his first pitch is fouled off by Yunel Escobar, who was hitting the ball well entering this series. Just 1 for 9 in the last 2 games, however. It is 66 degrees. A wonderful day here in Chicago. 0-2.
You'd have to call it a radical departure from what we saw last night. They said at game time it was 52. It did go down rapidly. But today, it'll be a very lively ballpark.
Escobar in the air. Austin Jackson in center, nearly straightaway center for out number 1.
One of the things that makes Chris Sale so difficult, doesn't matter left or right hand hitters, but because he throws that slider at 2 different speeds, you can guess slider, which is a tough thing to do because you can't really hit it very well, but you can't guess the velocity. And in that case, Escobar was a good hitter, was well out on the front foot, moved his hands forward, got nothing into that swing.
So 1 away for Andrelton Simmons, the shortstop. Late of the Braves organization. So watching Chris Sale's 1-0 complete game shutout last time against Tampa, what were you most impressed by?
I was impressed by the fact that he had the best slider he's had all year. That and the fact that he got everything over the plate. I mean, he completely handcuffed not the greatest lineup in the world because Tampa is last in the league in hitting, but they've got some guys who hit the ball pretty well on that team, and Sale just absolutely sliced right through him. So when the slider is good, and again, it wasn't that great the first 2 games, it was great last time, and for the first few he's thrown today, it looks like it'll be pretty good today. He's not unhittable, but pretty close to it.
1-2 down the right field side and hooking foul to Andrelton Simmons, who had a double in his final at bat last night to push his hit streak to 12, much to the celebration of the sparse Angels crowd here at U.S. Cellular Field. 1-2. Another foul ball.
Simmons doesn't strike out a lot. That's going to be put to the test today with Chris Sale. He also doesn't walk. He doesn't walk at all. Has yet to walk this year. And the Sox, by the way, leading the American League in pitching. 2.63 ERA. Oakland is in second, followed by Tampa Bay and Kansas City.
Third best in all of Major League Baseball. There's the slider from Sale and a check swing with Simmons held up 2-2.
All Simmons could hope for here was it wasn't in the zone because he was completely fooled. Best description I've heard is that looks like the second baseman is pitching to a right-hand hitter.
3-2 on Simmons. Of all the Angels hitters, maybe he's had the best series at the plate at 4 for 7.
Well, the great thing about him is for years he's been a defensive wizard. He has one of the strongest arms, if not the strongest in baseball. Timed at 98 miles an hour as a pitcher in high school. He also has great range. We've only seen the arm turn loose 1 time in this entire series. So he'll get it over to first base, but he doesn't use his strong arm when he doesn't have to.
That was last night against Adam Eaton. And this one flipped in the air again. Austin Jackson, 2 down.
Chris Sale has pitched 7 or more innings in his last 6 games. Doesn't sound like a great deal. It really is in this day and age. In fact, it's the longest active streak in the major leagues. And he's been something. Working on 11 straight innings without allowing an earned run. And with 1 more out, he will have accomplished that.
He'll have to get it from Mike Trout, who's only at .220 to open this season in the first 14 Angels games. But you look at his line drive percentage, the rate at which he's hitting line drives, it's 34%, which is significantly up from his career numbers.
He's just a wonderful player, and he's going to hit a lot of home runs. He's had just 1 this year. But he's astonishingly strong, and he's got very good speed.
Down and in, 2-1 from Sale to Trout, who's taken him deep once in a 3 for 13 lifetime. Right side, Adam Eaton in pursuit, foul ground, and no play.
4 consecutive Silver Slugger awards for Mike Trout. Pretty amazing. Joins only Mike Piazza to win the award in each of their first 4 full seasons. So when you look at only 2 players in history, that's pretty stout.
And one of them's a Hall of Famer. Fouled off again by Trout. 302 career average. You think the stolen bases might decline just in self-preservation. 140 home runs, 9th in Angels history already. Up the middle into center. Trout is on with 2 out. His 2nd hit of the series.
Well, it's very easy to figure out. It's a good pitch by Sale, but not to Mike Trout. Look at the location. It's down. Even though it's away, he's in protection mode with a couple of strikes, and he takes it right back up the middle. So Trout, completely different if you look at the charts compared to Albert Pujols. Pujols loves the ball up. He's a deadly high fastball hitter to all fields.
Albert 0 for 7 in this series thus far. Stopped by Avila, ball 1.
That one looked like it was certainly ticketed for a wild pitch, but Alex Avila, with good mobility to his left, able to make sure that Trout stays at first.
This is rare, Steve, but in that 0 for 7 in this series, Albert Pujols has not left the infield with those 7 outs.
Kind of scary, actually, at this point.
Sox come in at 9-5, half game off the pace in the Central. The Royals are 9-4. The Tigers in 3rd at 7-5. The Indians have just snuck over 500 at 6-5 with a win for Carlos Carrasco yesterday. Pujols does get out of the infield, but it's Austin Jackson for all 3 outs here in the 1st inning. Trout single, nothing else. Sox to the bat rack next. Scored 5 runs in the last 4 games. They got 5 yesterday, and here's the lineup for Robin Ventura. Eaton Saladino in the 2 spot, then Abreu DHing, as we told you about. Frazier, Cabrera, and Laurie, who's hit the ball well recently. Sands, Avila, and Jackson, the starting 9 for the Sox.
Let's take a look at how Mike Scioscia's going to line up that defense. It's Gentry, Trout, and Calhoun in the outfield with Escobar, Simmons, Giavotella, and Crone in the infield. Our old friend Giovanni Soto gets an odd behind the plate. Garrett Richards on the hill. There you look at the numbers. He hasn't won yet. Thrown the ball pretty well. 19 strikeouts and 17 2/3. Undefeated lifetime against our Sox at 2-0, but his ERA up over 4. And so he's got a very good changeup. It's probably his best pitch.
He faces Eaton first, and strike 1 to Adam, who's hitting .327, slugging .423 on the year.
For Richards, the big year, 2014, 13-4, 2.61 ERA.
The huge difference between last year and the year before was 20 homers allowed last season, 5 in 2014.
I think occasionally, if you lose the sink on the fastball, you're going to find the ball hit a little bit harder, but he still won 15 last year.
Eaton down the left side and foul. Very close.
And what Joe McEwing is telling Chris Conroy is, and he knows that, it's not where it bounces after the bag. Did it cross the bag in fair territory? Because if it did, it can land in foul territory. And we'll take a look at it. Boy, that looks really close, and I think Joe McEwing is still talking with Chris Conroy. It's tough to judge, but that's a two-base hit taken away. It's probably the most difficult of all the plays to judge. Did it go over the bag even though it hit foul?
Eaton to shortstop, and Simmons for out number one. Tell you about our picks to click today. The crew has gone with Alex Avila. Steve gets Tyler Saladino. And I will take Brett Lawrie thanks to a tweet from John Dan 22. You can tweet in using the hashtag pick to click. His reasoning was pretty sound. Brett Lawrie 5 for 14 lifetime against Richards with a 971 OPS. Melky's 370 on base percentage in front of him should lead to RBI opportunity. That's a very thoughtful tweet.
That is a wonderful tweet, and he also likes that thing he chews on. He forgot to tweet that as the latter part of the tweet.
The Brett Lawrie vampire fangs?
The extended tweet.
Yes.
I'm with you, by the way, as far as day games are concerned. I really like them. They're so much brighter.
That sun does a number on the darkness. Saladino rips it to left. Gentry back at the wall. It's 1-0 Sox.
First home run of the year, his third driven in. Tyler Saladino, who is a lot stronger than he appears to be, crushed that ball. And Jason, you were just talking about the added home runs in the repertoire of Garrett Richards. He got this one up in the eyes of Saladino. It just barely hit the top of the strike zone, and he hit the daylights out of it. Right at the Vienna beef sign. Boy, he's a man after my own heart.
A carnivorous solo homer for Saladino. And Richards shies away from Abreu on a first pitch ball. We've talked about it before. Tyler Saladino had that season in 2011 with Winston-Salem and A-ball. He hit 16 homers, which was a significant jump. And he's got one in his 12th at bat this season.
He's telling Brett Lawrie exactly how he did it. Just get that high fastball and jump on it.
That's an early lead for Stephen M. Stone in the picks to click today.
It's also an early lead for the Sox. This is not a team used to scoring in the first couple of innings. Certainly not the first inning.
It's the second run all year for the Sox in the first inning. Abreu muscles it out to left. Gentry and Simmons, and it's Simmons at shortstop. Gentry was coming in. Simmons goes out, 2 away.
Actually, it shouldn't surprise anybody that the right-handers are going to probably do some damage against Garrett Richards today. He's allowing an OPS of 998 against righties this year. That's down near almost last in the league. League average at 718, so you can see the right-handers have taken advantage of Richards. One of the reasons he doesn't throw him the straight change.
So how does that affect the way right-handers look at the ball?
Without a straight change, and if it's one of your better pitches, I don't see why righty to righty you don't throw it, but without the straight change, it's a little more difficult. There's a couple ways to fool a hitter. One is location, the other is velocity. If you take velocity out of the equation, then you can only fool them with location. You miss your location, you get hit hard.
That's low. 1-1 to Todd Frazier, who had 2 hits in yesterday's game, including a home run, a solo shot that gave the Sox a 1-0 lead in the second inning.
Richards, a former first-round draft pick of these Angels back in 2009.
Tapped back to the mound for Richards, and the Oklahoma product finishes off the inning, but Tyler Saladino provided the thunder. 2 batters in, the Sox with a lead of a run. Sox have their second homer out of the 2 spot this year. It comes from Saladino in the first inning today. And Chris Sale feeds over a strike to Cole Calhoun, the lone lefty in the lineup for the Angels of Mike Scioscia today.
The key for lefties, hitting lefties, is that right shoulder. If you fly open with the right shoulder, you've got no chance on anything away. And it's very difficult with Chris Sale throwing low 3/4 most of the time to keep that right shoulder in. Sox infield playing him as a pull hitter, the outfield playing him as an off-field hitter, shading him to left center.
Down and in, 2-1 on Calhoun, who's actually hit lefties fairly well this year. He's 7 out of 19 against left-handed pitching. Career .249 hitter versus lefties.
Usually where you see it with lefty-lefty, even though their batting average might be a little bit higher, the power numbers are down when they're facing left-hand pitching.
That is a tough pitch to do anything with. 2-2.
94 on the black at the knees. Nope, you're not going to do much with it. Nor with most likely what will be a sharp breaking slider forthcoming. We'll have to see what Alex has in mind. Now he's going with the heat.
Tap to third. Frazier, bare hands, throws on the go, and got him.
Well, what an outstanding effort that was by Todd Frazier. He was playing off the line and back at third. He came on realizing that it had to be a catch it, throw it in the same motion. Good piece of hitting by Calhoun, staying alive, and Todd Frazier off balance throw right on the money. Jerry Sands with the long stretch, which would have left me disabled for the remainder of the year, but he seems to have come away unscathed.
Possible ego contusion for Steve Stone. Smoothly done by Frazier, and Sands playing first with the grab. Soto takes ball 1. You know, Todd Frazier's a bigger guy, and you'd think, how can he be so agile at third? Based on body type, you wouldn't necessarily expect what you get out of him, and he has been truly fantastic at third this season so far for the Sox. Sale off the mound. Cleanly scoops. 2 down.
One of the keys, and you see it with all good third basemen, Todd Frazier no exception, he's going to move as the pitch is on the way. Most likely he'll be coming in. The reason is he wants some sort of movement to give him momentum regardless of how he has to move, whether it's left, right, or charging straight ahead. He's going to make sure that he's not stationary when the ball comes to the plate.
2 down for C.J. Cron, who's got 4 hits in the series. And this one well hit to right field. Adam Eaton has room, however, in a 1-2-3 inning for Chris Sale, who's allowed just 1 hit through 2. Sox with the lead, trying to build.
They've got 3 of them on the DL. Andrew Heaney, C.J. Wilson, and Daniel Nava. The injury report is brought to you by Dr. Anthony Romeo Orthopedics. If you have any shoulder or elbow problems, go to RomeoOrthopedics.com or call 312-432-2342. And I talked with Mike Scioscia about C.J. Wilson. He said he will not be back for a while. It was a serious situation with him. Heaney said won't be back quickly, but he'll be back before Wilson.
That ball stayed up for Melky Cabrera, and he got under it to center field, and Trout won away for the Sox in the 2nd inning. Come out to U.S. Cellular Field on select Fridays during the 2016 season and get 2 outfield reserve tickets and 2 food or drink items for just $49. Each ticket includes $8 in bonus bucks. More than enough to cover your first soda, beer, hot dog, or sausage. Visit whitesox.com/first for more information. 1 out for Brett Lawrie, who takes up and in for ball 1. 283, 309 on base, and the slugging percentage nearly 400 with 3 doubles and a homer to his name. And we were talking about that mouth guard he has yesterday. Asked him about it very quickly today, and he said that somebody came to spring training and said it helps you not grind your teeth. So the reason he's got that mouth guard in is to keep him from gnashing his teeth on each other. And the added benefit has been that he's not bit his nails as much as he normally would throughout the course of the beginning of his season. Takes strike 1 there.
Another added benefit, and that is if you do in fact need a diet plan, it would work very well if you kept that in your mouth. It's tough to get a whole lot of food by that.
Lobster tails, not easy. In addition, Bram Stoker is always on line 1. 3-1 to Lawrie from Garrett Richards, who's allowed only 1 base runner, and that was Saladino on his homer. with 1 out in the first. Ball 4, Laurie with his second walk of the year. 1 out, 1 on last night. The scandal to beat all scandals early in the AL Central season. It was Bubblegate, and it involved Jerry Sands' hat. Todd Frazier's homer at 7:52 is the first time our cameras saw it. Then 8:03, 11 minutes later, Jerry, stoic as always, Bubble, still doing what Bubbles do on hats. 15 minutes after that, the home run from Abreu. Bubble still living. Then finally, 8:32 p.m., the Bubble goes away for all eternity.
That, however, was not a record for the length of bubbles on hats.
Well, we were talking to Alex Avila before the game, who was the culprit there.
Yes.
He was the perp, the Bubble perp. And he put it on Jerry's hat very early, says even before that second inning. But his record, he claims, is a tie for first. 5 innings, twice with the Tigers, Omar Infante and Nick Castellanos. Those are good Bubble length numbers from Avila. Jerry said that Adam Eaton actually clued him in on it a little bit earlier, but because the homer happened, Jerry thought rally Bubble.
He wanted to go with it.
So he did. Sox won.
Unfortunately, at the time, as you know, the bubble had been punctured before that and then departed.
It's
not
tough,
long after that.
Tough to keep a bubble going with a puncture in it. 2-0 on Sands. Laurie at first. And a big rip, 2-1.
They're playing him as a dead pull hitter in the infield with Giovitella playing right up the middle, actually maybe a step or so on the third base side of second. Now he's starting to drift in the outfield, playing him as an off-field hitter. It is a much livelier ballpark today, so if he gets a hole in one, it's going to go. Not that he needs a lot of help with the wind.
Through the left side for Sands' third hit this season in 11 at-bats.
Well, there was a pretty good example. I'm pretty sure he's looking for a fastball all the way, but that fastball was in off the plate. One of the things that Hawk Harrelson always talks about is hitting with short arms, meaning that if the ball is inside, you've got to pull the hands in a bit so you can get a good part of the bat on the ball. And where a lot of guys will talk about extension, if you try to get too much extension, you're going to get jammed on that pitch. So although he didn't rifle it to left field, he hit it hard enough to ease it through the left side, and a good piece of hitting by Sands, who doesn't get a chance to play all that often, but has made the most of it.
You heard Robin in our pregame. He said, I just want to get Jerry in there, get him a chance in one of these day games, get Abreu off his feet as the DH. 2 on, 1 out for the Sox here in the second inning, and Avila takes a strike.
He's looking back and talking with Gabe Morales about the location. That ball had the very top of the strike zone. Not anything that Alex would like with a 0-0 count, because it's not a pitch he wants to hit. He wants to hit something down, preferably on the inner portion of the plate. Try to drive it through the right side.
0-1. Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Excellent stop by Giovanni Soto, because that could have easily have gone to the screen, in which case the double play would have been out of the equation.
And gives Avila the chance at a productive out to bring home that second run. Instead, still first and second.
Guys at the corners throw it exceptionally well in Gentry and Calhoun. Trout has been a whole lot better this year than he's been during the course of his career. Yet throwing the baseball.
Fisted foul by Avila, 1-2 with Austin Jackson on deck.
A lot of people would ask, how in the world 5-6 years into your career does your arm get stronger? For Trout, he was playing a lot of long toss, and by extension in long toss, because that's what you have to do, he's able to get a little something extra on each and every throw, and this year it's really paid some early benefits for him.
It's a strong outfield that the Angels have. Calhoun led the team in defensive runs saved last year, the right fielder. 1-2 to Avila. Stays alive. And then you add Simmons to this defense. And Escobar has had great years previously in his career. Didn't have the strongest season numerically last year, but this is a defense that could be one of the top defensive units in the American League.
Right now they're 5th. Now they've only committed 1 fewer error than our Sox. They've committed 7. Our Sox have committed 8.
Escobar has 3 of those errors early in the year. 1-2. Blocked again by Giovanni Soto. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Garrett Richards, born and raised in Oklahoma, went to the University of Oklahoma. He walked more guys last year than normal for him. He walked 1 already here in the 2nd inning. First round pick back in 2009. There's a huge hole on the left side of the infield. That's nothing new for Alex. Teams have been playing him 3 to the right of second base for most of the year.
When he goes to left center field, normally it's well hit, and almost without exception, he hits it in the air. So that's one of the reasons why they leave the left side vacated. And of course, Escobar in this situation is actually playing closer to third than he normally would play because there is a force out there. Normally he would be well off the line, more to the shortstop side.
Pitch number 7 to Avila from Richards. We'll have to wait. Game 3 of 4, Sox and Angels tomorrow. 1:10 start again. John Danks against Jared Weaver in the series finale. Then the Rangers are in town. Sox will throw Quintana, Rodon, and Latos in that 3-game set. This could be 2. Giovitella, Simmons, and Crone. 4-6-3 for the Angels. And the inning comes to an end. Sox maintain that 1-0 lead. The Angels on a solo home run from Tyler Saladino. Here into the 3rd inning, Jason Benetti, Steve Stone, our entire crew at U.S. Cellular Field. We thank you for joining us on this beautiful April day from wherever you might be.
Giovitella, probably the hitting half of what is turning into a second base platoon. along with Cliff Pennington, the left-handed counterpart.
Ball one to Giavotella of the Metairie, Louisiana Giavitellas. His family owns an Italian restaurant on Napoleon Avenue in Metairie. On the ground is Saladino at shortstop, and one away. And with that, we present this segue. White Sox fans, celebrate your Italian roots with Italian Heritage Night when we take on the Twins. Sox and Twins, Friday, May 6th. Italian Heritage Night will feature specially priced tickets and a post-game fireworks show. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com/Italy.
A night I'm sure that the Bertucci family of the Bobby Bertucci, Bruno, and handsome Anthony Bertucci probably will appreciate, as will the folks eating out in the Bullpen Sports Bar.
Want to do a game from there at some point?
Sure.
What do you think?
How about
Well, no, we'll
end
get
of
you
October?
We'll get you a wireless mic. I'll stay in the booth, and you can go down there and do the game from there, and I'll hang around here.
That's not necessarily a bad idea. Not a great one, but not a bad one, all things considered.
Right around the middle of the bell curve as ideas go. 2 strikes from Sale. 3 strikes from Sale. First punch out for Chris. 2 down quickly in the third.
That high fastball from Chris Sale in this one, as you look at the K zone at 95 upstairs, and Gentry takes a seat. So for Chris Sale, that's strikeout number 1 for a man who is averaging a strikeout per inning pitched, which in the major leagues is a sign of just great stuff. And sometimes with Chris, it's overwhelming stuff.
All-time Sox strikeout record in a single season last year. And he feeds over a strike on a changeup to Escobar. One of the things Chris Sale said in spring training was he wants to see the pitch count number be down some this year. He'd trade soft contact outs for those strikeouts in order to get deeper into games.
The way to do that is don't use your put away pitch on strike 1.
How about on strike 2?
Strike 2, you can get a little bit more on it, but I was always told as a young pitcher, because you can't strike anybody out on strike 1, don't give him your best, whatever it is, whether it's a curveball, a changeup. Induce him to try to swing at the first pitch. Maybe you can get a 1 pitch out by using, instead of the corner, using the outer third of the plate. Escobar's been a good player for a long time. Back last year with the Nationals, he had .314. Drove in 56 with 9 home runs. Doesn't strike out very much. Only fanned 70 times. 535 at bats. In this day and age, that's a good number.
He was 6th in the National League last year in batting average with that .314.
And the number one third baseman, I believe, batting average wise.
1-2 from Sale. Down. Escobar proving to be a tough out with 2 down in the third.
He's just a good, solid player. And he's made the transition, originally a shortstop. He went to second base for a while, made the transition to third seamlessly.
Known as something of a flashy guy early in his career. There was some miscommunication maybe in Atlanta, and he's found managers that on the range of liking that type of thing or not. You know, he had Joe Madden, who embraced it, and Bobby Cox didn't necessarily appreciate it off the top. 3-2 on Escobar.
I think as you get older, you get some sort of an idea about how to go about it on a daily basis. I know it's worked that well for Escobar as he tries to keep things alive.
Frazier backing up is there. Inning over. 7 in a row pushed aside by Sale. 2.5 deep. What's new for Chris? 1-0 Sox.
It's time for the Subway third inning triple play promotion. Text Subway 3 to 97999 right now, and the 300th texter will win a $30 gift card to Subway restaurants in the Chicagoland area. Subway, fresh is what we do.
Especially when you find your way there. Todd Frazier told us last night that he was lost on the way to a Subway.
Boy, it is
wow.
beastly warm at the ballpark today.
How do you, by the way, decide to do that?
What?
At what point do you say, you know what, I'm going to pack everything into the car and go to a Sox game and dress up like that?
Well, one of the things you think about is, will it keep me warm if things start to turn at the park, which occasionally happens, and then you decide that that's the best way to get on television because you can't get on any other way.
Would you call that guerrilla fandom?
Is that the fandom of the opera?
On the ground to short, thankfully. Simmons for out number 1. Austin Jackson retired. Last batter we hadn't seen for the Sox so far today. I mean, what a great picture, though. Just sitting there drinking a soda.
Hey, look, when you're trying to build your fandom, you try to accommodate all species.
Whoa. One down for Eaton. And that one did not get to home plate on the fly. Ball 1.
Escobar very close at third base. He's well in on the grass in case Adam decides to lay one down.
Adam Eaton had the big play last night, throwing out Andrelton Simmons at home in the 7th inning. There were a couple big plays, but defensively that one may have rescued the Sox. It would have been a 2-1 game, and he was very complimentary, Adam was, of the tag from Deoner Navarro off his throw from right.
Well, there's no doubt, but the throw was one hop right on time and cut down Simmons, because at that point, if you cut the lead in half, you're heading later into the ball game. I mean, that's a tenuous lead at best, and so that throw kept things right there. And then, of course, the Sox added on late, which is something they've been doing this year, which is a nice habit to get into.
3-1 for Eaton, which is 1 for 9 in this series, and 1 for 7 career against Garrett Richards. Saladino on deck. He's got the only offense today for either team. A solo shot in the first. 3-1 is strike 2.
Fastball of Richards acts at times like a cutter, but this is his natural fastball. It's 97. Has a little movement right into the left-hand hitter, away from the righties.
I didn't win a Cy Young, but that's a pretty good pitch on 3-1.
Yeah, 97 and in a good spot with late movement. Yeah, that's a pretty good pitch anytime, but certainly 3-1.
Tap foul by Eaton.
Nice job of staying alive. Richards' fastball looks a little bit better than it's been the last few starts, and certainly better than the reports would have indicated. 97 for him is, it's up there at the top of his range. There you look at the numbers career-wise against our Sox. He is 2-0. However, 4.29 ERA. But opponents this year hitting just .213. That's very good.
Ball 4, 1-out walk for Eaton, former Arizona Diamondback. Tyler Saladino with an 0-1 pitch in the first inning.
Our fourth drive of the game is a high fastball and gone. First home run of the year for Tyler Saladino. Now the Sox have an opportunity to do something they haven't done a lot of because the situation didn't present itself with the personnel that you would think about. But that's the hit and run. Even with a guy hitting a home run last time, let's see if Robin pulls one out of the bag.
Eaton at first, Saladino at the plate, 1 out. And a long hold there from Richards.
He almost threw it away. That was a good pick by Crone at first base. And of course, everything that skips either to the catcher or an infielder is immediately thrown out of the game so that the pitcher cannot get an unfair advantage. And that is a scuffed baseball and the added movement it gives you.
So what's the physics behind that? Or at least why does it do that? You don't have to do jewels and everything.
Yeah, the physics I'm not exactly sure about, but this is some of my pitching friends have told me that when you hold a scuffed baseball to, let's say, the right side, the ball is going to pull to the left, and that is because the scuff is going to catch a little more air and it's going to give you added movement. So it will pull opposite to where you hold it.
It's kind of like a NASCAR restrictor plate sort of thing. It minimizes drag.
If you were throwing a NASCAR, yes. So if you hold a scuffed baseball with the scuff on the bottom, you're going to get some rise on your fastball. Scuff on the top, you're going to get sink. Scuff on the left, it's going to go right. Conversely, going to go left. But I will tell you, from seeing some other pitchers do this, it gives you maybe another 3-4 inches in movement.
Less resistance on that new baseball.
Yes, and my pitching friends who worked a lot in the bullpen with this and then took it into games on occasion said that it's a huge advantage, much to the delight of most pitchers and the anguish of most hitters.
Seems very specific to not be first-hand knowledge.
Well, of course. We would never take advantage of hitters like that.
Eaton is off. Ball low. Throw to second is not in time. He's stolen a bag, his first of the year.
Something that the Sox want to do a whole lot more of, and that is swipe some bases. And I think they want to look and see a review of this. It looked like originally he was going to tag it with the right hand, then he went and tagged it with the left, and the question being, as he was using the transfer, did they get him before the left hand got in? And they decide that that is not the case, so they're not going to take another look at it.
You know, that's the quagmire you're in as a manager with only one challenge. If you don't get it right, you're done, and there might be a significantly more important call later in the game before the 7th inning for Socha to use it on. Fastball 2-2 on Saladino.
That was a good spot. That one was up on the inner portion and threw it right by him.
He might have had an argument, though, on that. It looked like Eaton may have released with the right hand, been tagged in the interim, then re-anchored with the left hand. Very close, 3-2.
That was actually a good pitch, and Tyler got a break. Richards wanted it. You can understand why he did want it. Xfinity Pitch Tracks will show you where the 5 pops up, and perfect pitch.
Eaton at second, 1 out, 3-2 for Saladino. Strike 3.
Now you're going to get 1 break, but you're not going to get 2 in a row, and that one had a piece of the plate. This is a good call by Gabe Morales. Well framed by Gio Soto. Object is to catch it and ease it back to where you believe it's the strike zone. Watch how he eases it, catches it, and then eases it back to what he feels is the lowest part of the zone.
As compared to the prior pitch where his hand moved quite a bit.
You could see it distinctly.
2 out for Abreu. Up high.
Here's one of the advantages that Jose will have this year that he hasn't had, and that is real easy with first base open to think about pitching around him. But the way Todd Frazier swung the bat last night, you'd have to figure he's about ready to break out of things. So you don't necessarily want to put Abreu at first base. You want to pitch him carefully, but not walk him intentionally.
Not that Mike Scioscia's intentional walk happy, but recall he did intentionally walk Todd Frazier last night, and it came back to hurt him as Melky Cabrera finished off a 2-run double.
And that was what put the game away.
Ball to strike on Abreu. Lively fastball at 98, 2-1.
There's a young fan certainly enjoying his day at the ballpark.
Called in sick today to kindergarten.
Yeah, and of course he feels that the game is best played and enjoyed without looking at it.
Facing the other direction. Fouled at the plate, 2-2 for Abreu. Eaton at second with a 1-out walk. He stole second base, and now Soto goes out to visit Richards, the right-handed starter for the Angels.
A lot of pitches, 50 pitches. We're not through the third. Giovanni is telling him that at 2-2, you might want to try to get him out of the strike zone. You can pitch like you've got first base open, which you should, but also realize that with 2 strikes, you can try to get him to get himself out.
That one gets away all the way to the backstop, and Abreu is safe at first. So it went as planned. He got himself out, a ball out of the zone, but Soto couldn't keep it in front of him, and the rally continues.
Well, from a catching standpoint, when you call a breaking ball here, you've got to go down and do whatever you can to make sure you smother it. This time it bounced up, and catchers realize on a curveball from a right-hander or a slider from a right-hander to a right-hand hitter, when it hits, it's going to back up and go in the other direction. This time, instead of getting out and smothering it, Soto allowed it to bound off his body, and it leaves the inning alive with runners at the corners and a chance to add to the lead.
Todd Frazier, the batter, he is 0 for 1 with that bounce out back to the mound in the first. Well, Garrett Richards, last 2 seasons, has combined for 39 wild pitches, 22 of them in 14, 17 last year.
But with that last breaking ball, you can understand where it would have a tendency to get away, because that was a sharp breaking pitch. There you look at the career numbers. They're actually pretty impressive.
Inside 2-0 on Frazier with Melky Cabrera on deck.
In 2014, when he had that big year at 13-4, he probably would have significantly added to that, but he tore his patellar tendon and was disabled from August through the rest of the season, so he probably missed a good 8 starts.
Frazier takes a strike, 2-1. I mean, how good that year was in 14 for Richards. His fielding independent pitching, which usually is higher than your ERA because you're taking out fielding luck, was 260 lower than his ERA at 261.
That was a year that he served notice he was going to be one of the better pitchers around.
3-1 on Frazier.
Another thing Mike Scioscia said when we talked was that the more pitches you make behind in the count, the more times you open yourself up to get hit awfully hard. And so one of the stats he insists upon is how many pitches will he make behind in the count over the course of a performance? And Richards is behind in the count.
26th pitch of the inning for Richards. Buckled in with a breaking ball, 3-2.
Gives you an idea what kind of confidence he has, and also knowing that you've got a home run hitter up in a fastball count throwing anything but a fastball, and you got it over the middle of the plate. Now the advantage at 3-2 with 2 outs. You probably take the force out of the equation at second, and Frazier can beat out an infield hit on a chopper.
In the air to right field. Cole Calhoun ends the inning. Sox get 2 on without the benefit of a hit, and we are through 3 and a 1-0 score.
With White Sox checking and an official White Sox debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC.
There is the man of the hour right now, Steve.
There's no doubt that giving up 1 run in 3 starts. ERA .49, 3-0. Try and put together one of his best seasons of his career, and what a start he is off to.
.49 ERA in 3 starts for Matt Latos. Again, you look at the career numbers, and he's pitched well at points from 10 to 13. He was a very good starting pitcher, but I mean, that's wild.
Anytime your career ERA is around 3.5, you're getting the job done. But this year has just been exceptional.
2 strikes on Simmons. Reach for that one. Adam Eaton stationed for out number 1. Sox fans celebrate a special birthday or anniversary, or even host a business function in a Diamond Suite at a White Sox game. Diamond Suites can accommodate groups from 10 to 100 guests. Single game packages include a great food menu, beverages, and parking passes. To purchase, visit whitesox.com/group.
Simmons out, a big out, only in that you're facing Trout and Pujols after him. Just as soon face these guys with nobody on. That's how Chris Sale faced Mike Trout in the first inning, and he came through with a base hit to keep the inning alive before the fly out off the bat of Albert Pujols ended the inning.
Mike Trout so far in this series has only come up with a runner on once,
which is a very good thing.
in the neighborhood. 1-2.
Didn't miss by much, but he did miss.
Another one of those half swing liners. Those come off the bat so hot.
Yeah, you've got to be really heads up, not only in the dugout, but certainly if you've got seats above the dugout, those come back to you in a hurry.
1-2 from Sale. High, 2-2.
He was trying to heat him upstairs, which is exactly what you want to do, but that one missed.
Same spot as the first hit. A little more gas on this one. 2 for 2 for Trout.
Trout goes down and gets it. You keep on throwing the ball low, and I know Chris is not intentionally trying to throw it that low consistently, but Trout's going to wear you out down there.
Well, we just saw him lay off the high heat on 1-2. So where do you go? You throw the slider low and in? Is that what you're saying?
You go back to a high fastball, only make it a little lower. But he thought he could get him out low and away, and Trout got the good part of the bat on it.
Trout's off. And he is out at second base, apprehended by Avila.
Well, that was just an outstanding throw, because the only way you could possibly get Trout, who got a great jump, was to throw it so that he actually tagged himself. Well, great throw by Avila, who gets rid of it quickly. This was a stolen base all the way, puts the tag on him. Doesn't get much better than that. But Laurie right there, and Mike Trout gets a face full of mitt.
Well, he got a pretty good jump,
he got a great jump. It was just a terrific throw.
First time caught stealing this year for Trout. 2-1 on Albert Pujols.
The two guys that are sharing the catching duties for the Sox. Tanner Navarro last year, 39% of would-be base stealers cut down, 31% for Alex Avila. And all year long, you're not going to see it done much better than Avila did it there.
Outside corner, 2-2 on Pujols. Well, look, I know there was concern about the offense after you score 5 runs in the final couple games of that road trip and then the shutout 2 nights ago. But again, the pitching has been so fantastic generally for the Sox this year. And in recent memory, Sale just misses 3-2. There's a lot of reason to believe the pitching is sustainable and will keep you in games such as this one.
Well, I also believe that those concerned about the health and welfare of Carlos Rodon, don't worry about it. He's a good one, and that's a called third, and Sale out of the inning. So we'll move to the bottom of the 4th in a 1-0 game, and Albert none too happy.
1-0. The Sox with the lead over the Angels, and Chris Sale got rid of Albert Pujols at the end of the top of the inning.
Albert didn't like this call, and obviously when it hit the glove of Alex Avila, he actually took it down a bit, but location-wise, the exact same location as the pitch that he called out Tyler Saladino. So in the consistency department, you're going to call it on one guy, you call it on the other.
Again, you hear it so often, though, with 2 strikes, you got to protect.
Too close to take.
Why leave it in the hands of the neutral arbiter when you can simply make the decision yourself?
Right, or the umpire, as the case is.
Are you saying he's neither neutral nor an arbiter? Discuss. Melky flares that foul. 1-2 to Cabrera, who flied out to center back in the second inning.
I've had a lot of conversations with some other broadcasters and some longtime baseball people. Seems this year, for whatever reason, I don't know exactly, but the umpiring has been very good in just about each and every game that we've played. You don't see a lot of players complaining. You don't see a lot of catchers doing a lot of squawking at umpires. So we've had not only this crew, but just about every crew we've had, the umpiring has been good. They've been good on the bases. They've been certainly good balls and strikes.
Well, you wonder if one of the attendant benefits of instant replay is that since umpires are getting it right more often in terms of final decision, because you'll reverse a call that was wrong, maybe managers and players alike are being less argumentative about balls and strikes, considering there's less of that cumulative effect of, wow, they got that one wrong and this one wrong and now this at the plate.
Could very well be that's part of it, certainly.
Simmons short. Good arm. 1 down. We'll try and write up a grant to fund that study to see whether or not that's true. Sox fans join us Saturday, May 21st, 1:10 p.m. versus the Royals. All fans ages 21 and over get a 25th ballpark anniversary canvas presented by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner and official beer of your Chicago White Sox. Purchase your tickets today at whitesox.com or call 866-SOX-GAME. Just if you're eating snacks, don't put your hand on the canvas because it'll smudge it. Yeah, she's not allowed to touch the canvas. Neither is he.
That's
a
hot
big
dog.
bite, by the way.
That is a hot dog with some chili on it, some cheese, and undoubtedly mustard.
Brett Lawrie takes the ball.
In fact, it has to be mustard because, in fact, both of those fellows are mustardy.
You know, mustard and mustache have the same root.
Which one is that?
Must.
Ah, yes, you must have it on a hot dog. Something that you forgot in your youth. But we'll work that out of you as you spend a little more time at the old ball yard.
Lawrie takes a ball. It is 3-0. Look, when given the option,
yes,
of all condiments, I wouldn't have selected ketchup. I would go chili and cheese on the hot dog. That's my style.
I felt that you were being discriminatory in the condiment department.
Oh, thank you to the crew for putting up my Twitter handle at that very moment, just in case folks wanted to rap on my door. Ball 4 to Lawrie. What a sense of humor. Just because they're 0 for in picks to click means they have to do that snarky thing with the Twitter handle.
Well, but this is a crew actually that gets better as the year moves along. There's a Dodger fan and our friend
Gary the Gorilla. Oh, they're sharing. That's nice.
Nice, isn't
You've
it?
never shared ice cream with me.
No, but I would share it with the gorilla.
Simeon dessert. Here's Jerry Sands with 1 out. And the errant foul. Sands 1 for 1. He singled back in the second inning to left.
Only 2 hits in the ball game, and that being one of them, the big one off the bat of Tyler Saladino, the second hitter of the game, his first home run of the year, his 3rd driven in. And that is the difference in this Wago. Just wanted to let you know that I am quadrilingual. I know one word in 4 different languages.
And they're all no. Outside snap throw, not in time. Brett Lawrie close enough. Ball and a strike. 2 active catchers here. Giovanni Soto, Alex Avila. Avila throwing out Mike Trout, who got a remarkably good jump for being gunned down.
And Adam Eaton, in his stolen base attempt, just barely beat the throw of Soto in the 3rd inning.
That was one of those, if you had 2 challenges, you use one on that play on the Eaton stolen base, which will forever in history go down as a steal.
Here's a look at Mike Scioscia, Giovanni Soto, and Scioscia is the man that goes through his set of signs. Former catcher, so he's pretty aware of what he wants his pitcher to do with a man at first.
Caught a number of great pitchers, including Fernando Valenzuela, over the course of time.
Yeah, he was a terrific catcher in the era where you could actually try to run down the catcher, and there are a lot of guys from his era that tried to run him down. Many of them with very bad legs right now.
Runners off, pitch was high, and this is a hit and run that went to the 86 department. Lawrie caught stealing.
You can tell it's a hit and run because he's looking back. If you look back to see if there's contact, you know it's not a straight steal, and there's the tag, and I got to tell you, I think the tag was late. I think he actually beat the tag at second base.
Especially with the foot climbing up over the bag initially and over the tag. Another, if you had 2 challenges, maybe you go there.
I think they're asking him now if he got him in time. But the next pitch was thrown, and that is that.
3-2 on Sands. Strike 3. 3rd strikeout for Garrett Richards. Promising inning. Nothing across for the Sox. 1-0 after 4.
Logging on to WGNTV.com and click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner for the latest stats and information. Sox Game Zone is powered by Dodd Camera. It's family owned for 125 years. It handles all of your photographic needs. Dodd Camera, where the focus is on you.
Robin Ventura Doesn't need any more passenger seat managers, but I'm sure the game zone is fun.
The game zone is fun.
Yeah.
And Dodd camera, a classic camera outfit. 125 years the family's owned it. I'm not sure if you knew that.
I had heard recently. Do they play Kodachrome on loop in the store is the question. Cole Calhoun swinging at strike one.
Calhoun was retired on a wonderful play by Todd Frazier last time up, squibbing off the end of the bat and just got beaten on the throw at first.
2 strikes on Calhoun. Sox are playing game 3 of a 7-game homestand against the American League West. Texas is in town, including White Sox Tote Bag Day presented by MLB Network on Friday. In the air lazily to Melky Cabrera and 1 down. The Sox have had very nice success the last few seasons against the American League West. They started this season 4-2 against the West. You see, last 2 years over 500 or 500 against every team in the West. 2 years prior, under or at 500 against all 5 teams. Sox will be out of the West until the 2nd week of May. Sox will be at the Rangers May 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Hey, Spidey.
Spider-Man travels with Purdue fans, evidently. Spider-Man's a Boilermaker?
A little Boilermaker.
Strike 3 from Sale. 3rd strikeout for Chris.
Well, Giovanni Soto last year caught a lot of these as a K zone with reckless abandon, holding up that K on that slider over the outside part of the plate. Giovanni, from an offensive standpoint, finding out what he learned when he was catching it is that that backdoor breaking ball coming from outside to the outside corner is deadly.
You know, I know why it is that Spider-Man travels with the Purdue fans. His name is Peter Parker, so the logo of the P. That's why.
That was quite a mystery before that, as the appeal to Paul Nauert, and it was a strike.
See? That's why. Thank goodness we figured that out, right?
Indeed.
Fouled away by C.J. Cron, who is 4 for 8 in this series.
Chris has always had very good luck against these Angels. Not only a 4-0 lifetime record, but 164 earned run average. As good as Chris is, and that's awfully good. Last time out, he got just the 1 run. That coming in the 9th inning. And 1 run here today. There you look at the lifetime numbers against the Angel outfit. It hit just a paltry 158 against him.
Fouled off again by Cron. Chris Sale has thrown 11 pitches in this inning, and all have been strikes so far. Will it be a 1-2-3 inning for Sale? We'll find out later. Jammin'. Those headphones plus earmuffs combined, you think? That'd be a nice invention.
I think it's already been invented, but yes.
You know, it'd be interesting. Wipers for your windshield.
It's very good, yes. This one just missed inside. And I mean, missed by an eyelash.
Outside 3-2 from Sale to Cron.
This at the very least a 9-pitch at bat. Trying to keep it alive for Giovitella. He of the Italian restaurant fame in New Orleans.
Saladino on a big hop. Handled it marvelously. 1-2-3 inning indeed for Chris Sale. Unscathed in the run column through 5 today.
By Fifth Third Bank, the Curious Bank, and also the bank used often by my partner.
Indeed, they have lovely people there. And if you're curious, by the way, about the standings right now, the Sox opened a half game back of the Kansas City Royals today. The Royals and Tigers in first and third. They will play again tonight. They push along their series. That's Jordan Zimmerman versus Ian Kennedy. Tigers and Royals. How about the Colorado Rockies to start this season? They are 8-6, even with a loss yesterday, at the top of the National League West.
And the fact is, they have a winning record on the road.
Avila slugs this one right center field on a hop off the wall. Alex Avila throttles down into second with a leadoff double.
Just a third hit against Garrett Richards, and this is a bomb. That one right down the middle. It was thigh high. Alex certainly likes him there, and he put a charge into it. One hops the wall. So a very promising way to start the fifth inning.
First extra base hit for Avila, his fourth hit of the season at 23 at bats, and now Austin Jackson with a chance to move Avila to third for Eaton in a one-run game. Boy, C.J. Cron is in very close at first, or at least he was creeping in with that pitch. If Jackson slashes there, that'd be a tough pick for Cron.
Well, they're both in at the corners, believing that Austin is going to bunt. I don't believe he's going to.
Cron's backed off now with this pitch. 1-1. Talking about the Rockies, the 8 home runs for Trevor Story, 6 for Nolan Arenado. Don't know about the pitching and how it's going to hold up, but they certainly have some very talented young players.
Well, if they fall out of contention, there's one guy that a lot of people are going to be looking at. That's Carlos Gonzalez, who collected his 1,000th hit today.
Jackson lays down a bunt, and it's a beauty. Richards airmails it. 2-0 score. Oh, they backed off, and Jackson victimized him.
Got a pretty good chance of that being a base hit. At the very least, it's going to be a sacrifice, but it looks like base hit E1. Now it goes sacrifice E1. One of the things I don't like is a pitcher picking it up barehanded, throwing it in the same motion, because you can't really get a good feel for it. The pitchers don't throw to bases too often. So Richards threw it away badly at first base. A 2-0 game with Austin Jackson in scoring position.
That is the Angels' first error of the series, and it's a very costly one. Now Eaton with Jackson at second, still nobody out. Left-hand side, Gentry for out number 1. Bring your little all-star inside the game. Fans 13 and under can join the White Sox Kids Club for special Kids Club giveaways, free White Sox tickets, and exclusive events. Head to whitesox.com/kidsclub today to join. That's a maybe current or future Kids Club member.
There's a few other members of the Kids Club right now certainly enjoying the concession stands.
School's evidently been canceled today here in Chicago. It's a strike to Saladino, who homered back in the first.
He took a look at Escobar and found that Escobar, at least on the first pitch, was way back at third. Thought he would take advantage of it, but now, because he showed bunt, Yunel Escobar has moved in at third.
Pitch number 82 for Richards. Ooh, that looked like a cookie to Saladino's eyes. 0-2.
A little higher than he would like. It was up and out over the plate.
Two strikes. He got him inside half. Nice comeback from Richards after the error, getting Eaton and Saladino. So it's left to Abreu.
Another situation very similar to the situation in the third inning when he actually struck out Jose, only to see the ball get away from Soto and keep the inning alive for Frazier.
Sox up 2, looking for more. To right field. Calhoun squeezes the final out of the 5th inning. Leadoff double and an error. Sox double their lead. Johnny Giavotella to lead off for the Angels, who find themselves down 2 now after a leadoff double and error combination. Got the Sox one more across in the home 5th. And Chris Sale keeps on keeping on. First pitch strike.
Giavotella came to the major leagues with the Kansas City Royals. Now seemingly has found a home with Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Last year he got his ALCS championship ring from Mike Scioscia, but it was very early in the season. Scioscia called him into the office. Giavotella, who had been sent to Omaha any number of times with Kansas City, thought, oh my goodness, I thought I made the team and now I'm going to get sent down. I'm off to Salt Lake. And instead it was Mike Scioscia giving him his championship ring.
Which is a very nice thing to do.
One and two on Giavotella, who's 2 for 11 all time against Chris Sale. Left field, Melky Cabrera on the back pedal for out number 1.
Chris hasn't really gone after quite as many strikeouts today. He's facing a team that does make some contact. Only 3 strikeouts, but he's been very efficient once again. Staying ahead of most of the hitters, and strike 1 creates a defensive at bat. And against Chris Sale, not a place you want to be too often.
Ball 1 from Sale to Gentry. And again, we're talking about the 200th appearance today for Chris Sale. 120 starts, 80 in relief. Saladino closes out number 2. The hope is that he's just scratching the surface of what he can do in a Sox uniform, which is truly amazing considering the records he's put up already.
The last pitch was an example of what a good pitcher can do. He doesn't really lean back and try to get something extra. It isn't a straight change. It's just a fastball where he takes something off. And by throwing it where he threw it, you get the hitter to roll over, in this case Gentry, and it's an easy out and a 2-pitch at bat. That's the difference between the Chris Sale we're looking at now and the Sale who came to the big leagues and didn't understand a great deal about pitching, but had great stuff.
You said it a couple innings ago. That's exactly how you go ahead and get yourself through more innings. Not necessarily a quote-unquote get-me-over fastball, but it was there to hit, but in a good location.
A very good pitch in a good spot, but because you've changed speeds on your fastball, the hitter doesn't see any spin. He recognizes it at a fastball, but goes out to get it.
And the bat javelin gold medalist today is Yunel Escobar.
Well, that pitch was out of the strike zone, so as he went across to try to get it, his hand slipped off the bat. And normally that's a chance to go back, get a little pine tar, and well, that's exactly what he's going to do. You see that particular stick of pine tar?
Yes.
Now that is reddish, but some of my friends tell me that when you heat it up, it clarifies. And so because you can't see it like pine tar, you can actually put it someplace on your uniform and get a better grip on the ball.
If you were a pitcher that was into such nefarious things.
If that was some of the things that you were thinking about.
Saladino for out number 3. 1-2-3 inning for Sale. We'll find out if Steve Stone clarifies when we heat him up at the bottom of the 6th.
Insurance.com, sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your local nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 38 years. To join the nation, visit jeffvuk.com because Nationwide is on your side.
Always good to know. Bottom of the 6th inning. In case of sun, put a calendar on your skull.
That is the lovely White Sox calendar that each and every fan who attended this series, and if you want to come to the finale of this series tomorrow afternoon, you can get one of those, which serves 3 or 4 different purposes. One of which is designed to actually show you the date.
Blocks out UV rays with the best of them. Frazier pop up, first base side and out of play. Todd 0 for 2 today with a ground ball back to Garrett Richards and a fly out to right. You know, after the game, before we had Todd on the post game and we chatted with him, the fans were chanting Todd Father at him. So the Sox actually now have the Todd Father and the Sod Father, Roger Bossard. It's coming back toward us.
Don't worry, I'll protect you.
In a stationary way.
No, I will. I'll be more than happy to reach across and defend you against any foul balls that come back softly.
Very kind of you. 2 strikes on Frazier. Whoa!
That was a fastball that we would like to think slipped out of his hands. Now there's no doubt Soto wanted it upstairs. He didn't exactly want it behind Frazier.
That's the kind of pitch that Xfinity Pitch Tracks was created for. So we know that's ball 1. My goodness. You average those out, he's right down the middle.
And had you known ahead of time, which you don't, of course, that was not a bad pitch to swing, you'd be standing on
third, maybe
on first or second. Charles Nagy is the pitching coach of this team. In his day, a real good pitcher with the Cleveland Indians.
2-2 to Frazier. We had Jim Thome on during spring training. He was talking about the offensive ability of those Cleveland Indians teams, but they had some pitchers too. I mean, Jarrett Wright was very good at that time. Charles Nagy, Dennis Martinez for a while was with the Indians as well during that span.
Well, they had good pitchers, but they were known for some defense up the middle as well as a bunch of guys that could kill the baseball.
Frazier stays alive. Back end of the bullpen is pretty good too. Jose Mesa.
Yes, up until the World Series, very good.
Yeah.
It was a good piece of hitting by Todd Frazier, who was able to take that slider and just barely foul it back to keep the at-bat alive.
On 2-2 again. Richards now over 90 with this release.
Another one, this time a fastball. It was a little lower and more out of the zone, but Todd was able to stay alive again. Up and in, low and away, the classic example of how to pitch anybody.
You go back there again, low and away?
I would go inside. We'll have to see what he's going to do. He's going away.
And so is this baseball to center field. Leadoff single for Frazier.
See, there's an example of one too many pitches in a spot where you have his eye level honed in there. You throw 2 pitches low and away. He's looking for something out away. Now, granted, this one didn't have near the break as the others, but he still threw it on the outside part of the plate. And Todd, who did a good job of keeping that at bat alive, wins the battle.
Took 8 pitches. Frazier with a leadoff single, and now time for America's fastest growing sensation, where we quiz Steve Stone about his own career and see if he remembers it. It's called Sticks and Stone, and it will come after this first pitch to Melky Cabrera from Garrett Richards. There goes Frazier. Pitch is high. Throw is high. Frazier steals second base.
Todd Frazier does that with the best of them, and that is if the pitcher does not make him stop, he'll get a running start and steal the base. Not the fastest man around, but this is great technique. You watch him. He's got all this momentum going towards second. This is a mistake on the part of Richards. And he's able to come in. Even if the ball was secured by Simmons, he still wouldn't have had him at second.
Now a bunt from Melky back to the mound. Frazier to third. Nice work by the Sox to turn a leadoff single into a triple in 2 pitches. All right, time for Sticks and Stone. The question is, which former Angel is it today? It's Joe Rudi.
Well, Joe Rudi was one of the guys that I got out in my lone save of my career.
Really?
Yes. But not when he was with the Angles. So I'll say I did okay. He was a very good hitter. I probably threw him nothing but curveballs, which is not a startling revelation.
There's Eric Johnson just up from AAA Charlotte. Loose sitting in the bullpen for the Sox.
And the Angels bullpen. It
Greg
is
Malley
Greg
once again.
Malley, who we've seen in this series. Infield in at all 4 positions. A chance to put a little more daylight between the Sox and the Angels.
Laurie the batter. Frazier at third. Up and in. Ball 1. Couple of walks for Laurie, both on 3-1 counts today against Garrett Richards. Sands is next. Frazier at third.
If there is going to be a fly ball, it better be a substantial fly ball because of the ability of the entire outfield to throw, especially Gentry and Calhoun on the corners.
No, sir. 2-0.
Last 8 games, as you can see, Brett Laurie's been awfully good, and this is not a guy known to take a whole lot of walks, but today very much of a surprise. After taking 1 in 14 games, he's taking his 3rd today. This of the intentional variety.
Second intentional walk last 2 days from Mike Scioscia. First one Frazier yesterday. This one of Laurie. And the team with the fewest walks in the majors coming into today has 4 this afternoon. Let's find out how you did against Joe Rudi in your career. Sticks and Stone.
Okay, here it is.
It's pretty good,
19.
Steve.
Yeah, couldn't hit a breaking ball very well. Did, however, hit a home run, but so did everybody else. 7 strikeouts, 20 plate appearances.
Congratulations on your
Thank you.
ownership of Joe Rudi.
You threw one up there that I actually got out. Very nice.
We'll do that from time to time. First and third, 1 out for the Sox here in the 6th. Sands, then Avila, each with a hit so far today. 2 of the 4 for the Sox. Trying to prop up Chris Sale with more runs. High, strike 1.
Probably not where he wanted to throw that, but he got away with it. So base hit here will make him the Sandman, although the original Sandman retired now, Mariano Rivera.
One ball, 1 strike on Jerry Sands.
If he keeps on hanging that breaking ball, he's going to give up a few, and that was pitch number 100. That's why the bullpen is up and going.
Avila, the lefty, is next. Malley, the lefty, is loosening for the Angels. Could be the final batter for Richards today. High and tight, 2-1 on Jerry Sands. 3 pitches all up to Sands so far.
Well, that last fastball up by design. The first 2 breaking balls up by happenstance, as it were.
Those will get you in trouble by and large.
Both by and large.
2-1. Fouled off by Sands, 2-2.
Boy, hung yet another breaking ball and got away with it again.
Well, Chris Sale stretching out as he is prone to do with that very dexterous, slender frame of his.
And happy to have 2 instead of the one he got last time, but would love to have a couple more runs.
The story go that Chris Sale can touch his eyebrows with his feet, and he can always pull the legs all the way over his head. He's very talented as a gymnast.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess if you're bringing that into the public forum, it probably is true. I have no idea, but he is a dexterous fellow.
Very
limber.
flexible.
Yeah.
3-2 on Sands. First and third, 1 out for the Sox. Sands a rocket to right field and foul. Ball was hit very well.
Young fan, very happy with the souvenir. That's why you bring your glove to the ballpark, because in case anything comes your way, you are absolutely prepared. Taking his ball and going home.
3-2. We'll wait. Check on Laurie at first, who was intentionally walked after ball 2 from Richards. If it plays out perfectly, you'd think for Mike Scioscia it would be Richards to get Sands, and then the left-hander Malley for Avila.
There's a slider coming.
3-2, the pitch. Strike 3, throw to second. Laurie is there in time. The inning continues.
Another stolen base. Good jump. And on strike 3 on a slider, what Brett has to worry about, of course, is coming off the bag. But on the play, Giovitella does not keep the glove on him. Had he done that, he would have had an out at second base. Stolen base number 1.
So Richards will stay in to face Avila, who doubled off of him last time up last inning. How do you pitch Avila here? I mean, certainly hasn't had the greatest offensive season so far, but it is a left-hander against a righty with the right-hander Jackson on deck.
Although he went down and in the first pitch, which you usually try to do is throw a little sinker away and hope he rolls over it. But if you get the ball thigh high instead of knee high, he's going to hit that ball pretty well.
That was knee high, 1-1.
Knee high, but at 96, inside part of the plate, tough to get the bat out.
Laurie at second, Frazier at third. Sox looking for a couple more. They will be off with contact with 2 out.
I think he realizes that this is going to be it for him, so whatever he's got in the tank, he's reaching back and trying to get.
1-2 for Avila. That'll do it. Strike three. Back-to-back strikeouts for Richards. Tenuous, but nothing more for the Sox. 2-0 after 6. Andrelton, Simmons, Mike Trout, Albert Pujols take aim at Chris Sale here in the 7th inning, and a 2-0 lead for him. The Sox had a chance for a couple more and stranded 2 in the home 6th. So Simmons first, who's gone out to center and to right today.
Another situation very much like the 4th inning where he led it off. That time lifted that soft fly ball to right, and then the Trout base hit. He's had a couple of them. So a big out of Simmons. As
it's a Mike Trout fan right there.
The Angels have some fans here.
I'm not great at Rebus puzzles, but that's
Are you
a Mike
sure
Trout
that's
fan.
not from Tim Salmon days?
Could be.
You know, Dad might have had that from the Salmon days and kept it alive.
Salmon doesn't usually keep that well. Frazier to first, 1 away. Sox fans grab White Sox seats with the StubHub app. Take the price and location of seats and show you which tickets at StubHub give you the best deal. So get the StubHub app today. StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Chicago White Sox. Sale, once again, has been brilliant.
Well, look at those numbers. The strikeouts down today, but he's throwing everything where he wants it. Giving up just the 2 singles to Trout. That's it. Overmatched everybody else.
Trout caught stealing after his single in the 4th. Both of those hits have gone left of second as we look at it, and right of shortstop.
Both on the exact same pitch. Low and away. Trout went out and got it.
Sale's gone low and in twice this trip. Fastball to 94. Three and one on Trout.
Chris was not very happy with himself on that pitch. That's one that you want to get in the zone because you figure Trout's probably not going to be going after it anyway. Surprised by the straight change.
'96, a little extra that time.
Yeah, but you saw the location. The location was up, and Trout's going to swing through that a lot.
3-2 with 1 out. Sale versus Trout.
As you can see, the high fastball, number 5, swung and missed. And another 3-2 pitch forthcoming.
Number 7. And Trout stays alive with a foul ball. That was where you wanted that pitch to be, though, right?
Yeah. Good pitch. And very pretty young lady. Enjoying, well, whatever it is.
Who needs napkins?
She's got a bunch of it.
Saladino, and left side of the infield. Frazier and Saladino. Well done. 2 down.
Interesting play, because I think Tyler at first thought maybe I'll back up, realizing then that Trout has pretty big speed. He comes in and tries to smother it. It's going to be a difficult play one way or the other, because if you move back, Trout's probably going to beat it out. If you come in, you have to deal with the short hop. He chose to come in, and quickly 2 up, 2 down.
For Albert Pujols, who's nothing for 2 today. First pitch strike. You see the demeanor of Saladino on that play. There was zero panic, even when he was going to get caught in an in-between hop.
Well, that's been 8 ground balls fielded by the left side of the infield. And that's what we talked about when the defense was set. With Frazier at third and a combination of Rollins and Saladino at short, it's going to be a much more dependable left side, which really comes into play with 4 left-handed starters. You have to have a strong defense on the left side. The Sox have it.
Fouled away again by Pujols. Most teams are going to have 1 or 2 left-handed starters in your rotation. Sox with 4. I mean, just without crunching the numbers, you're going to have a double plus balls to the left side of the infield.
Yeah. Usually that happens. Combination of cut fastballs or sliders inside to the right-handers, and whatever kind of breaking ball you use away, everybody pulls it. So it's pitch number 101 on the way.
Fouled away again by Pujols, who's nothing for 9 in this series. With an out here, the Sox veritably could finish 3 games with Albert Pujols and hold him to 0 hits. 1 more against the Angels coming tomorrow. Jared Weaver, John Danks in a 1:10 start time Thursday afternoon. Shift was perfect. Brett Lawrie inning over. 1, 2, 3 for Sale yet again. That's 10 in a row set down.
Around the major leagues.
What's going on around the majors? Cleveland home for Seattle at 6-5. Tigers and Royals, a game Sox fans will be interested in. Houston and Texas in the West. Rain in the 7th in St. Louis. Cubs are trailing. That would be loss number 4 for them. Cincinnati beat Colorado. Yeah, there's an interesting story yesterday talking about the Phillies on Fangraphs that the Phillies are throwing 27% curveballs this year with a lot of young pitchers. By far the highest percentage of curveballs in the major leagues. Organizational philosophy.
I was going to say that, well, they're going with some guys who use that as their mainstay, and although you probably wouldn't want that many, sometimes you got to go with what you have, and the Phillies actually have played decent baseball, a lot better than most people thought when this season started. The Phillies, even though they're at 6-9, they're sitting right there, 5 games in back of Washington, who's been red hot. They're 10-3. They're probably going to win that division, but the Mets will have something to say about it before it's over. They have spectacular pitching, just a question if they can get any hitting. Texas is going to come to town, by the way, and Texas is leading the AL West. Oakland at 500 is a game out. They're in 2nd place. Baltimore leading the East. They're up a game and a half over Toronto.
Fouled off by Jackson. I'm talking about Washington and the Mets. Daniel Murphy has had a great beginning of the season for the Nationals as the Angels get 2 loose with Malley and Morin, who we saw both 2 nights ago in the opener. Turn on these 3 games, you'd only think the Angels had 3 relievers. Was fouled off of Jackson. Escobar played it out anyway. A foul ball. There's Nate Jones, who pitched well last night.
Nate Jones pitched very well last night. In fact, he pitched a couple of innings. So Chris Sale, who's gone the entire ball game, is going to stretch his longest active streak of going 7 or more innings. He's going to do it for the 7th straight time.
Up and in on Jackson, 2-2.
Pretty remarkable when you consider that that leaves your team, assuming that you have the lead, in this case the Sox do, it leaves them with only 6 outs to cover and a full bullpen to be able to do that. Last night it was just Albers and Jones that nailed it down after Latos went 6 1/3. So after the 8 2/3 bullpen outing of the opener of the series, where Petrichka, Putnam, Jennings, and Duke went, last couple days the pen has been given a bit of a rest.
It's a big credit to those guys from 2 nights ago for eating up those innings. 3-2 on Austin Jackson. We saw Eric Johnson warming up earlier. You think that's almost an in-game side session?
Yes.
Yeah.
In case something were to happen to Chris Sale early in the game, which almost never happens, he would have been used as the long man, but when it became apparent that there was going to be no long man needed, he just got some work in.
Jackson pumps it foul. We were talking about maybe Richards being done a couple of batters ago. He has now climbed to 117 pitches as Jackson wears him out to the tune of 8 so far this trip.
Well, you would think that if he got in any trouble whatsoever, it would be time to go to the pen because of the pitch count. But Mike Scioscia, not the firmest believer in low pitch counts. He will allow his starters to go deep into ball games.
Lefty Adam Eaton to follow Jackson. 3-2. That was right down the middle and hammered directly at Gentry for the first out of the home 7th. And that will do it for Garrett Richards.
So 118 pitches will be the finale for Garrett Richards. So as Mike Scioscia comes out, makes the call to the pen. We'll step out and be back after these messages. After pitching an inning in the opener, gave up a hit. That was it. On for the 5th time. ERA an even 3.
Well, the Sox today, the first couple games of the season, first 14 games of the season, stealing bases has not been a major piece of the game for the Sox, but they have done a number on the combination of Richards and Soto today as Eaton stands in with one of those stolen bases. He is 0 for 2 with a walk and a steal.
Well, they came in with 2 stolen bases all year. But it's been, gentlemen, start your engines today.
Check swing, and Eaton did go around 1-1.
Well, you don't have to wear your sunglasses in any particular way. That's a fashion statement by the young lady. They're upside down.
Eaton bunts it. Malley can't handle it.
Put a little pressure on him, knowing that Eaton could get down the line quickly, and it goes as a base hit. Pretty good idea against a tougher left-hander. And then when the ball trickles away, turns into the first hit of the day, the second time that Adams been on.
Now, you mentioned in this very situation, Saladino up, Eaton at first with 1 out back in the 3rd. You said maybe hit and run.
I don't think it's a particularly bad idea with Cron playing in and off the bag. So he's looking for a bunt at first base. That's one of the things we've seen from the Angels, where when they want to play off the bag, they will play in front of the runner, especially with a guy who can bunt.
Check swing, foul ball, 1-1 to Saladino. Sox did try to hit and run last inning. Brett Lawrie, I should say that was back in the 4th inning.
It was back in the 4th inning.
Yeah. Went to Rye, the hit and run. To shortstop, Simmons, Giavotella. On to Cron. Inning over. 3 batters faced, 1 reached. 8th inning coming next. 2-0 Sox.
5-2. The Angels have made the only error of the game. Chris Sale, so far 7 innings. He's still in the game. 3 strikeouts, nary a walk. And Tyler Saladino starts things off right with a home run in the first inning. The Honda Game Summary is brought to you by the Honda Dream Garage Sales Event, now at your Honda dealer.
We'll see how far Sale goes into this 8th inning. He's got the left-hander Calhoun first, and then 2 righties, Soto and Crone. Sale's maximum pitch count in his career thus far is 127. That was 2 years ago in April on the 17th against the Red Sox. A 7-inning 1-hitter. 102 today. Calhoun 0 for 2. First pitch, Hunting fouls it away.
There's no doubt that Don Cooper talked with Chris Sale between innings, asking him what he has left, where he wants to go with this one. Last time out, a complete game. He shut out Tampa Bay. He has shut out the Angels so far. Last night, Sox pitching shut out the Angels, and more the same here today.
Off the plate, 1-1.
Zach Duke, Nate Jones. Nate is ready to go. He's been up before, and Zach is starting to get loosened up.
That is a nasty pitch. 1-2.
That is what you might call a no-chancer. That's what your chances are in trying to make some contact.
Just tipped foul by Calhoun. Chris Sale last gave up a run 11 days ago on a solo homer from Yan Gomes.
Well, not as good as you and I. We gave up runs quite some time ago, but Chris is doing a pretty good job.
Ball and 2 strikes for Calhoun.
Trying to heat him up with a fastball, barely able to foul it off. You know, I was very impressed the fact that you mentioned, and just mentioned, an aside as it were, that you needed an extension on the cord so that you could actually have more mobility in the booth. And lo and behold, we came in today with the extensions already in place. I'm going to call you Major Juice from now on, because that kind of influence is rare.
And that hits Calhoun, so a runner on. I had to do it. I got some flack from Mike Koshersky down in the clubhouse. He said, look, you're doing a fine job, but you got to get that cord out of the way. So I was becoming cord guys. Here comes Robin, and a leadoff runner on for the Angels. Sale frustrated with himself that he didn't finish off Calhoun. Suddenly the tying run is coming to the plate with Giovanni Soto for the Angels here in the 8th. So 7+ a batter for Sale today.
So Chris Sale walking off to a standing ovation from a very appreciative U.S. Cellular Field crowd. And as he disappears into the dugout, we'll step out and be back after these messages. has only given up 2 hits. This was early, a comebacker. He makes the play. It's against Giovanni Soto. Then he strikes out Pujols looking. None too happy about that one is Albert. And a good snapping breaking ball sets down Giovanni Soto. So 7+ innings, a couple of hits, no walks, 3 strikeouts as Nate Jones on for the 8th time. 1-0 ERA, 1.29 after pitching 2 innings in the ball game last night. And that one gets away.
By my cursory research, this is the first time Nate Jones has thrown the day after a 2-inning outing since June 5th of 2013. So 2 innings one day, then the very next day he throws it all. First time in about 3 years, as that's a wild pitch.
David Robertson now throwing in the pen.
It's currently the first runner in scoring position of the day for the Angels. Trout was caught stealing after a 1-out single in the 4th. There is Robertson. Strike from Nate Jones.
He's rushing it up there. That was 97.
Came inside, Soto jammed, Saladino out, 1 down. That is a big first out for Nate Jones. Join the 2016 Sox Pride Club for exclusive ticket offers and seating locations all season long, game day opportunities, club auctions, ballpark tours, membership gifts, and more. Visit SoxPrideClub.com to join today. It's your official Sox Pride Club card on the screen that you will get if you join. 1 out, runner at second for C.J. Cron. He was 4 for 9 in the series, including 3 hits in the opener. Bullet at 97. Outfield playing very deep against Cron.
In this case, you've got to play back because he represents a tying run. And so you're employing what has always been called the no doubles defense. Joe Smith, Mike Morin. Morin probably will come in if they don't score. Smith will come in if they do.
0-2 from Nate Jones. A lot of life, 1-2.
Cliff Bennington, a switch hitter, one of the options from the left side with no left-handers throwing. That's why Daniel Nava going on the DL takes a left-handed bat out of the equation.
2 other lefties, Rafael Ortega, who played in left last night, and G-Man Choi, who we've yet to see in this series for the Angels. One and two. High.
Tried the slider and probably it would have been very effective, but just missed the zone. Hard to look for a slider when a guy can throw 98 miles an hour.
You go back there.
He's trying to keep everything high. I think I can throw a high fastball by him. I think that's probably a comfort pitch for Nate.
2-2. Outside, strike 3 on a swing from Cron, 2 away.
Went for the slider and it was a dandy. He threw it in a perfect spot. see where Alex wants it. He wants it away, and Nate gets it there. It's not a big moving slider, but doesn't have to be at 88, 89 miles an hour. This is just in a perfect spot.
Flesh that out. Why didn't it have to be a big moving slider at that speed?
Because the velocity he throws to a hitter's eye, he's thinking about that fastball. And so if you have a short breaking slider, which is, by the way, why the pitch was invented in the first place, it was originally called a nickel curve. The guy's going to go out, try to get it. It's not going to be there and only has to move about 3 or 4 inches because he's measuring as he goes out where the sweet spot of the bat is. And it just has to slide over a bit, hence the name slider.
Giovitella, bouncing ball. Frazier cuts it off. And first base, Sands couldn't hang on.
He was able to catch it eventually, but it wasn't secured, and that's why Paul Nauert called him safe. In the dirt, you watch Sands. He doesn't have it secured. He does keep his body in front, but before he can come away with control, Giovitella's safe.
Well, you could argue he's got it pinned to his body. And Robin Ventura is out of the dugout. We'll see for what express purpose. Whether it's a pitching change or a challenge. Well, it's E5 right now.
And I think Robin's got nothing to lose at this point by asking the umpires to take a look at it. The question is, did it roll across before he secured it under his right elbow? If he secured it there, he's going to be out.
That'd be a tough call to overturn.
Again, if he'd been called out, it would be tough to overturn. Being called safe, it's going to be difficult to overturn, but we'll have to see if there is definitive proof.
See if the ball's still moving. I mean, he's got it pinned to his body and it doesn't roll up his body. You could make a strong case for definitive proof that he's got it pinned to his body. The ball's moving. That's no dice.
Well, it hits him in the stomach and then rolls under his right arm. Thing is, as he continues to roll it up his body, that's one of the things that you look at.
Yeah, you're saying it shifts position.
Yeah.
It goes up his body.
But from Robin's standpoint, at this stage of the ball game, you have nothing to lose by having the umpires take a look at it.
See it in real time again. See if you can see where the ball goes. And that's how difficult it is for an umpire to see that happening. And the call is safe.
I figured that's the way it was going to work out, and it does go E5. Now we're going to see, I believe we're going to see a pinch hitter. Now that the pinch hitter has been announced, we're going to see Robin coming out. He's going to make a change.
Rafael Ortega is out of the dugout for the Angels, and Nate Jones looks like he's coming out of the ball game for the Sox. He got 2 outs, nearly had a third. 2-0 your score. David Robertson for an inning and a third worth of a save today.
one, and he's looking for save number 6. On for the 6th time. He is 5 for 5. Hasn't given up anything yet. He inherits a tough situation. Runners at the corners. 2 outs.
By the way, back to the rule book for a moment on that play at first. By virtue of Rule 2, the definition of terms, a catch is the act of a fielder in getting secure possession in his hand or glove of a ball in flight and firmly holding it. So that is the language that holds here, firmly holding it. Jerry Sands did not have a firm hold of the ball. And so E5, 2 on, 2 out.
And Ortega, who started the ball game last night, hit the ball very well one time, lining out to Eaton in right field. He was 0 for 4.
Robertson to Ortega. 94 agreed to.
One for 12 this year.
Up from AAA with the injury to Daniel Nava. 24-year-old outfielder Rafael Ortega. Robertson got inside on him, 0-2.
This is first pinch hitting appearance of the year for the Angels. They've had 7 chances at a pinch hit. Still looking for hit number 1.
Oh, and 2 from David Robertson. Downstairs, ball and 2 strikes. Sox have led since their second batter of the game, a Tyler Saladino solo homer. They added 1 more in the 5th on a double from Avila and an error. 1 and 2 off the hand of Robertson, the closer. Ortega keeps the at-bat alive.
Pretty good location for that fastball, which looks like a cutter to most hitters, very much like Mariano Rivera. He threw it 94, tried to keep it inside. Didn't get it quite inside enough, and he was able to just get a piece of it to stay alive.
The 1-2 pitch. Nearby, but not a strike.
Xfinity pitch tracks will show you that that is off the corner.
Calhoun at third, Giavotella at first. Robertson on 2 balls and 2 strikes to Ortega. Checked his swing. Did he go? No. 3-2.
Close call. Chris Conroy on the appeal said he did not swing. Take a look at it, and that could have easily have gone the other way. Looked to me like that bat was a little bit out in front of the plate. But this will allow Giavotella a running start. Now Sands telling David Robertson that he's going to play behind him.
Escobar on deck. Sox would rather make him wait. 3-2 from Robertson to Ortega. Hit hard, second base, off the glove of Laurie. 2-1 Sox.
First pinch hit of the year for the Angels, cuts the lead in half. As Ortega on the 3-2 pitch hits it pretty well.
That's a play Brett Lawrie would love to make for his pitcher. So Sale charged with that run. Inning kept alive on the error. First and third, 2 out, 2-1. Yunel Escobar, the batter. Avila, the block. Escobar 0 for 3 today. 1 for 12 in this series. +7 for Chris Sale today. Still holding on to a possible win. One and one.
The run that Chris Sale gave up was unearned because of that error by Todd Frazier. But things getting a little tense around the ballpark.
Sox have never trailed in this game. 1-1 from Robertson to Escobar. Frazier at third, at the line, across the way, inning over. 1 hit, 1 run, lead intact after 7.5 for Sale.
A redeemer, and our Mazda replay is that redeemer. A tough play. This one hit down the line, and Frazier having to back up, getting it across in plenty of time to get out of the inning. The lead intact, a very happy dugout. So Chris Sale, still the pitcher of record.
That had a tennis match feel to it for a moment. The eyes going one way and back the other way.
And we got a new pitcher in the ball game as Morin comes on for the second time in the series. He threw an inning in the opener.
Late call on the strike to Abreu, 0-1. The Sox have 46 runs scored this year. 21 of those have come in the final 3 innings.
Be nice to pick at least one up here.
Abreu pounced, and it is foul back of home and out of the netting.
Ortega, who had a pinch hit, stays in the game in left field. Mike Morin, the new pitcher. He played at the University of North Carolina. He majored in exercise and sports science. In college, I could major in exercise. I'm not sure about the sports science, but.
Well, you did physics for us earlier.
Yes, relatively.
Is that the theory of relatively? 2 strikes still on Abreu.
I don't have the hair for it.
This was a shutout for the Sox until the top of this inning. If you just tuned in moments ago, Rafael Ortega's RBI single made it 2-1. Sox had the lead in the first on a Tyler Saladino solo homer. And Abreu nearly got clocked with that pitch. It's 1-2. The smell of rain has come over the ballpark.
Well, it's in the area, and it was thought that it would be around a little later in the day. It started out just an absolutely beautiful afternoon, 66 degrees at game time, and miraculously, it stayed at 66 degrees.
That one stayed up for Abreu, and he popped it up. Simmons for the first out of the home 8th. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. It includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. You can pull up the game day and see what kind of pitches guys are throwing. Cutter, slider, changeup, full box score, watch the game, listen to the game, whatever you want to do. It's there. Frazier looks at strike one.
Morin very fortunate to get away with a hanging breaking ball to Abreu leading off the inning. That one just came up spinning, and Jose got out in front of it.
Our old friend Dan Plesac tweets in that he's watching from his office at MLB Network.
Dan was a good one in his day. Closer for a long time. Spent many, many years in this game. Left-handers who can get the ball over the plate and stay healthy can earn a paycheck for a long time.
What about right-handers who put up 25 wins in a season?
Well, they usually get hurt and then leave. Thank you very much. But I'll be going.
I'll take my award and depart. 1-2 on Frazier, one down. One sails inside. 2-2 from Morin to Frazier. And by the way, the Angels in the 9th will have Simmons, Trout, and Pujols in a 1-run game as it currently stands.
This will be the 3rd inning that those 3 guys will have been the first 3 hitters in the inning.
Soto wants it down, and that one tails away. 3-2. Sox and Angels split the first 2 of this series. Angels winning big on Monday night, 7-0. Sox returned the shutout favor yesterday, 5-zip. 3-2.
Another spinner in the middle of the plate, so Morin's getting away with some pitches that are very hittable, and Soto going out there to give him a little encouragement.
Marlins fan got misdirected on the way to the Fish game.
Yeah, they told him, "Why don't you stop in here for a bit? It's going to rain. You'll like it."
3 balls, 2 strikes. Here it comes. That's changeup. 2 down.
This one was not a hanger. This was a pretty good pitch. And Ed Frazier out in front. So 2 up, 2 down. And Melky trying to do what he did last night. Only last night he came up with a couple of men on and quickly drove them home.
Low and outside, ball 1.
A couple of Sox fans ready to go in case anything comes their way.
On spring break today. Up and out. When's your spring break? About 6 months worth, right?
Good question.
There are people under there. Is there a Gallagher show that we don't know about?
No, but very thoughtful. You think ahead and you're well prepared.
Fouled off by Cabrera, 2-1.
That was almost the second of the series to go into the Angel broadcaster booth with Mark Gubiza and Victor Rojas. Mark was able to catch one last night. That one might have come back with a little bit too much on it.
Another changeup. 2-2 on Melky Cabrera. Sox got a run in the first and a run in the fifth. Trying to get to 10-5. Their 9-5 start. The best start through 14 games since the 2008 playoff team. That team was also 9-5 through 14. 2-2 for Melky. Left side. Escobar and Ortega, and Simmons late to the party to close out the home 8th. Heavy artillery for the Angels. Sox trying to finish the deal.
Speed replay. It was the all-important second run. This coming in the 5th inning. A sacrifice by Jackson, thrown away by Richards. That allowed Alex Avila to score. He had doubled to lead off the inning, and that is the difference in the ball game. Speed replay is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV, and so now A very difficult night in store for David Robertson and the Sox,
who has converted 10 consecutive saves dating back to 2015. His first pitch is low to Andrelton Simmons, who is 0 for 3. And with Trout and Pujols looming despite quiet series, you would love to have this first out and keep Simmons away from first base. Tailing back toward Jackson, and Austin's there.
Well, Simmons hit the daylights out of that one, a sinking line drive, and Austin Jackson, who's a terrific center fielder, realizing that this one was going to slice to him, not only got the slice, but he got the sink and able to stay right with it. This ball's a rocket. He caught it right on the heel of the glove.
You've said it so many times, the route's so important to a center fielder, and he was right there for it.
He came and got it and didn't secure it all that well, but he put it away.
One down for Trout. A hook for a strike.
You can't hit him too much harder than Simmons hit that last one.
Right on the screws. Trout 2 for 3, pair of singles. 3 for 10 in the series. Fastball for him at 91.
Not exactly where David wanted it. He wanted to throw it inside. He got it out over the plate, but he threw it by Trout.
2-strike pitch.
Fouled it off, just barely able to get a piece of it. That was a very good, sharp breaking curveball.
Where does he go here?
I'd like to see another curveball.
You got it.
There it was, but at 0-2, not a bad pitch. Maybe you'll find him expanding that zone, but that one dug into the dirt a little more quickly than he would have liked. An Angel fan with the rally cap.
One and two on Trout from Robertson. Another breaking ball. Frazier at third. Up to throw. And it gets away. Trout fell trying to get to second. Now he's caught in between. Sands recovers. He is out at second base.
Boy, what an outstanding effort. And Mike Trout, when he couldn't get his footwork, should have just stayed at first. That's an unbelievable play. As it turned out, this part of it is great. It does go as a base hit. The throw is in the dirt. Jerry Sands cannot corral it. But right here, Trout slips. Once you've done that, it's really difficult to think about going to second base. The throw beats him by plenty, and Saladino right there before the hand gets in. Nice dive by Tyler Saladino, and he gets him just in the nick of time.
That is two remarkable plays, and Saladino on the back end with the rescue. Two out for Pujols. He takes a strike. This is a one-run ball game, Steve. Mike Trout has been out at second base twice. Caught stealing earlier on in the fourth. Now trying to stretch to two here in the ninth.
The first time he was thrown out stealing was just a remarkable throw by Alex Avila.
1-1 to Pujols.
Albert leaving nothing to the imagination with that swing. He was trying with everything he had to hit it out of the ballpark. He is 0 for 2 lifetime against David Robertson, and one strike stands in between Chris Sale and his 4th win, David Robertson, and his 6th save, and the Sox and their 10th win.
562 home runs for Pujols. 1 and 2. Fouled off.
Very entertaining. 9th inning will be more entertaining with 1 more out, but a line drive rocket off the bat of Simmons. A base hit of the infield variety by Trout, who tried to stretch it and was gunned down, representing the tying run.
Ball and 2 strikes. Robertson. Check swing. He held up.
Paul Nauert on the appeal. We'll take a look from the side, and Albert did not go. That was a good call by Nauert at first.
Robertson and Pujols. 2 and 2. Tapper, Robertson. Sox win. Two in a row for the Sox. Robertson cinches it. And the defense with a beautiful group effort on that second out here in the 9th.
Well, a very entertaining 9th inning, especially the ending as Albert Pujols taps back harmlessly. So with a 2-1 victory intact, we'll step out and be back after these messages.